last month was a little deep. We talked about how to review the first half of the year and really getting clarity around the one thing that we were all going to commit to doing, that we know if we just did this one thing, it would help us reach our monthly unit goals and credit pools and how many, partner conversations that we need to be having. So hopefully that clarity from last month is propelling you each day to be super focused during that 60-minute time block. I know we talked about it at the very end last month about just 60 minutes a day. If we had to compete every day for 60 minutes and we make borrower calls and partner calls to prospect for our business, that's typically the one thing we know we need to do in order to grow. So hopefully you guys have some questions and some roadblocks or obstacles that maybe you came up against and you'd like either the nerd or bird's feedback, but this will be informal and relaxed, and you guys will be able to unmute and ask away. So Denise, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, last call, we were 6 months into the year. I'm sure some of us are still measuring our performances to our best years, which was, for some of us 2020 and 2021. But after hearing our call last month of, if we were to isolate, what's the one thing that we could do in our business to get now business to move the needle? Because we're going into the fall election. A lot of people are like, you know what, I'm just going to wait to see what happens. Anybody that wants to unmute themselves or add themselves in the comments, do you agree with what we talked about last time, that the single best thing that we can do every single day, if we're committed to something every day, is connect enough with our lead generation activities? And when I say lead generation, I mean realtor conversations and of course our past client conversations. But does anybody disagree that if they committed to 1 hour a day every day, that wouldn't move the needle in their business? It's okay to disagree. Anybody?
Come on, Sam.
You can drop it in the chat or unmute yourself.
I feel like we should also make sure, was everyone able to identify the number of credit pulls they need based off their funding goal and using their conversion rate? Was anyone who wasn't on the call last month, or even if you were on the call, I had some DMs and some emails about how do I now calculate the future of using this conversion rate? So y'all don't be shy. Like, this is a safe space. There's no judgment in this room. But if you couldn't figure it out and you're not crystal clear on how many credit pulls and partner conversations you're supposed to be having each week, then we need to go ahead and make sure we resolve that before the end of the call. Okay, so it sounds like there may be, Kara, I know you were tweaking yours. How do you feel now that Kara Erickson, sorry, I should probably identify which Kara. And you can unmute if you want. How do you feel once you've identified your target? How's that going?
Good. It gave me some really good guidance on exactly like how many realtors I should be talking to, because before I felt like I was talking to more than I was, and then actually breaking it down, and I've got the NERD's calendar thing that I use, and like realizing how many realtors I actually wasn't talking to has been like the biggest game changer for me, and it's making me actually have to level up to hit the conversation goal just to hit my credit pool.
Awesome. Good. Cool. Thanks.
I think that's the craziest part. It's the eye-opening part. It's kind of like the thing I can relate it to the most is like a fitness, or if you're trying to lose weight or anything like that. It's the easiest thing to relate it to as adults. It's like if you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to tone up or gain muscle, one of the first things that a fitness trainer is going to teach you is like track your food, because we go throughout the day and we're like, well, I mean, I'm eating good. I'm eating vegetables and protein, but like the handful of goldfish that we eat, or the 6 ounces of protein that we eat instead of 4, all those little things add up. So when you do start tracking, like, these are the number of dials I've made, but how many actual conversations did I have? It does somewhat require like daily tracking. And if you're anything like me, I freaking hate tracking. Like every ounce of my soul hates tracking. But it's the most glaring, obvious kink in our hose of it's like, well, crap. I mean, I thought I did a lot, but then I got sidetracked on social media for a solid 20 minutes because I saw this funny meme and then it's like all of a sudden, you know what I mean? So if you're not tracking daily, just with like tally marks of, you know, how many client conversations, partner conversations, and start there. But because it'll be glaringly obvious if you're not getting the results that you want with fundings, because everybody always looks at the results, but the fundings you can't control. All you can control is your input and your effort up front. And a lot of times when I ask loan officers, like, when do you get paid? And they'll almost always tell me when a loan closes, but that's not true. That's just the result of the activity that you did, the boring, mundane, non-sexy activity that you do over and over and over. That's little chips that you're getting. So drop in the chat how many credit pulls you need every week to hit your funding goal. This isn't like a peacock contest either, but like, I want to know how many of you guys know off the top of your head how many credit pulls that you need per week to reach your funding goal. So we have 4 out of like, I don't know how many are in here, 83 so far, 4 to 5.
So Kara, 13 credit pulls a week or a month?
That's per week.
Okay.
4 to 5-ish, 9-ish, okay. I have to do the calculation, I'm telling you, this is like your compass if you were a Boy Scout to like, this is what you've got to start with. And the reason why we
Sam-
break it down per week is because you have to assess your results every quarter. If we try to set goals for the whole year, it's totally unrealistic. You've got to chunk it down into per quarter and measure your results of your current conversion results. So all of you guys that are listing 5, 3, 4.5, how many let's say your goal is 5. I'm quizzing y'all now. If you need 5 credit pulls a week, based on the formula of my, I think 14 years I've been in this business, how many partner conversations then do you need each week? If your goal's 5. Brittany's the winner. On average, it's 3 times. You need to have 3 times the number of partner conversations that you have credit pulls. Depending on how skilled you are, maybe it'll be less than 3 times, but I would say just to play it safe, why not do more? I'm sure some of us have the time to do more. So let's be overachievers, do 3 times. So if your goal is 5 credit pulls a week, you need to be having 15 just partner conversations. I'm not even talking about past client or clients at all. You need to be having 15 partner conversations a week. So since our last call, have you guys committed to doing that and actually executed on it? Or do you find yourself still not executing on it? And it's okay, whatever the answer is.
Sam, were you going to ask something?
Yeah, but I can stay quiet.
No,
Alright.
go ahead.
So why are you gauging credit reports as a determining factor of call volume versus how much you're getting from an individual? Because the one thing I did listen to a recording, so I apologize I wasn't on the last one, but what I did was it was kind of interesting because I went back and I saw how much money was being spent on credit reports. And then what I actually realized, and I had a big struggle with this because being in retail, I was so used to just, pull in. I actually started having people pay for it up front. And I thought I was going to get such a major kickback. I'm shocked. I got one person literally in the last month that said, "Why am I paying for this up front?" And what it's done for me personally, it's actually made the real people be more real, because they're investing up front. I tell them they pay it at the end anyway. So if they really want me to be the surgeon and, have that true x-ray, throwing a couple bucks in the kitty isn't going to kill anybody. And what that did was it kind of made me break down my numbers a little bit more. Interestingly enough, Denise, because it's opposite of what I told you I do all the time. I actually started crunching numbers just to see. So thanks for teaching me that.
So here's the thing is, if that's your new model that you're going to, your conversion rate will be higher.
Yeah.
Based on credit pulls to fundings. So it's a little bit different model. We have a couple people at our company that are going to having the client pay. Everybody that's the beautiful thing about being in mortgages. You get to run your business how you want. But you will ultimately see that in your conversion numbers with this formula with reporting. But we measure it soft pull or hard pull simply because if I tried to go to loan officers and gauge it off of leads, 95% of loan officers don't even put their leads into a CRM. So we can't create a business plan off of wishy-washy data. Just keeping it real, y'all. So if you use a loan originating system and we have credit pulls, it's the most concrete way to be able to gauge past data and actual data, because like every Monday I have a call with my NERD loan officers and we're reporting information and it's like, well, I think I had 6 partner calls and I'm like, show me your tracker. I'm like, it's fine if you want to do business that way, but then don't expect me to create a solid business plan for you because you're giving me wishy-washy input. Kind of like taking a half-assed 1003 and throwing it in, So but I'm glad to see that a lot of you guys are saying things like you have committed to it. Some of you guys are saying it's hard. I feel like I'm doing it 1,000. It's doable. The important thing is that you know what your number of credit pulls are for a week. You know what your number of partner calls are. I would love to get into some more detail around how to systematize it, because if what some of you guys are saying is true, and you have started implementing these partner calls, there should be some holes in your process that you've uncovered. And that's what I want to hear from you guys, if what you're saying is true. Because if you're new to it, it should be like, well, who am I calling this week? Well, I called this person, but they didn't answer. So do I leave it? Like, I'm not going to give you all the things, but I've done this enough to know that there should be some things that have boiled up where you're like, I don't know what to do now, or I don't know who to call. So anybody brave enough to mention, like, where's some of the kinks in the process of you guys starting to implement this?
All right, I'll jump on the sword.
Brave
So,
soul.
yeah, I jump on the sword on calls like this all the time. It's not a big deal.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'm kind of in that position where it's like, I mean, I have, my few or more than a few real estate agents that every time I call them, I pick up the phone and it's like talking to a buddy it's like talking to a friend, and we're just having conversations. But then it's like those other ones where they're more than like an arm's distance away, and they'll answer the phone and it's the same song and dance. Oh, I'm not doing anything right now. It's the market is terrible, the NAR stuff. And it's like, how much of that can I absorb into my brain every single day? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Draining.
it's like, I know, creating the value, like I know the value that I bring to the table, but you just get to a point where you're like, what am I going to say? Like, what do I say to that? Get off your butt and go do some business. I mean, that's what we want to say. Because
Yeah,
let's
of course.
be realistic. It's like, it's
Stop
like,
whining. Yeah.
just go do something, like, well, in that model Instagram and find a business.
Okay, so I don't know how
Sorry
brave you
to
want to
sound on
be,
the
but
sword.
I would like to do a
ahead.
little bit of a role playing with you. because I'm questioning what you're leading with. Don't get me wrong, realtors love to vent and complain and gripe about the business. I totally hear you. But some of it is in how you're framing the conversation and how you're teeing the conversation up. And so if you're fishing with bait that's going to have them complain about the market, we might just need to change your bait.
Okay.
So let's pretend, putting you on the spot. This is to make us all
Should I
better.
turn my camera off?
You can, I don't care what you do,
I'm
because I
just
know this
kidding.
is totally calling you out. But I will start with the easiest phone call for an outbound real estate agent.
All
So
right.
you can either call me because an offer was just accepted, which should be your Monday phone calls,
Okay.
by the way. Mondays are the days that I have that I call for any offer that was made or offers that were accepted. I file all of the offers and I call the listing agents. So I'll let you pick. You call me, I'm the agent. I just want to see your intro and your framing. Either an offer just got accepted or the loan just funded. You pick. But I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna let you call me. Ring, ring,
All right.
ring. Hello?
Hey, Denise, it's Mike over at C2 Financial. How are you today?
I'm good, Mike.
Good. So I wanted to call because we got the accepted offer on 123 Main Street. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I'll be the loan officer taking care of the buyers, and I wanted to just call and introduce myself and see if there was anything in particular that your sellers needed or that you needed throughout this transaction.
No, just close on time and keep me updated with things.
Okay. So as far as keep you updated, is a text message and email okay, or would you like a phone call?
Text is good.
Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and do that. Do you have any questions about the transaction at this point? I know we had spoken during when the pre-approval letter went over to you, but did anything come up between now and then?
No, my sellers are gonna be a mail away, so I emailed that this morning, but they're gonna be a mail away, so they'll just need to sign a day early. That shouldn't be a problem, right?
As of right now, there's no issue with that.
Okay,
All right, great. Well, I'll let you get back to your day. If you have any questions, just let me know.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Feedback.
Be nice.
Anybody want to give Mike some feedback on?
Come on, guys. I jumped on the sword. You can get on the call too.
Let me ask you, how was Mike's attitude? Did he seem positive or sour pants?
I feel like Maria wants to say something. Maybe she was kind of sitting. You want to give some feedback?
I don't know if I'm the only Maria in the chat, but
You're
think he
it,
did-
girl. You're who I was looking at.
I think he did great. I usually say that, you know, I ask them what's the best way to communicate, like if they want to get communication through email, text, or phone call. I also talk about my team that they do pipeline review on Tuesdays, just to keep them up to date, and that I would love the opportunity to meet them once when the transaction is out. You know, throughout the transaction, looking forward to strengthen the relationship, and hopefully this is the beginning of many loans that we're going to close together. I usually end with something like that.
Thank you for sharing that. And I agree. So for Mike, I would say, number one, you called. So I'm sort of impressed because you called at the offer. And now the actual loan officer is calling me when the offer got accepted. I felt like you were positive and you weren't sour pants. There are a lot of loan officers that make calls and they come across their energy's very down and they're sour pants. So I'm glad that you didn't come across that way at all. You did pick up, I felt like, that I was being short. I am a short, high D personality type as it is, so I'm kind of like, get to the point. So there's a layer to what Maria's saying, where if you go into all this detail about your team, I'm zoning out because I don't care.
I kind of picked up on that, so that's why at the end I was like, I'll let you get back to your busy day.
Yeah.
You know, let's chat later.
Yeah, which I thought was great. But it sounded like any call that I would get from a loan officer, if I got a phone call, it sounded very similar. There was nothing that really stood out to me as far as what you said. And there wasn't really any planting of the seed of, if I meet your expectations throughout this transaction, would you be open to having a 15-minute chat after closing? Like some sort of planting the seed of like, I want your business. I know we just
Okay.
met, and I don't mean that aggressive, but there's subtle ways to plant the
Yeah.
seeds of like, I'm calling you because I'm letting you know I received the contract. This is the address, this is the close date. Is there anything meaningful to you or your seller that I should know about at this stage? Second question is there anything as far as from a communication standpoint that you would like to see from me outside of the every Tuesday updates that I'm gonna provide to you? Is there anything additional that I could do to meet your expectations?
Yeah, okay, I like that. Yep.
It's like.
Yeah, you're
passive-aggressive
setting it
almost.
up. You're setting it up for future
Mhm.
calls.
Yes,
You're
But-
building that. So I met your so 3 weeks from now, I met your expectations, so let's meet.
yeah. So, hey, my name's Mike. I'm the lender. I know we spoke when we made the offer. I just have 2 quick minutes. Is now a good time? Okay, great. I got the contract. Typically the process is we order the appraisal. As soon as we get the document signed, you should see an appraiser contact within the next 3 to 4 days. There's 2 very important questions I have for you. Number 1, is there anything super important to you or the seller that I need to know about with this transaction? Okay, great. Number 2, communication is the most important thing to me. My process is I provide updates every Tuesday to my buyer's agents as well as listing agents. Would you need more communication than my promise of every Tuesday? No, that'd be great. Just by you articulating that is sending the message you are about your business. You have a business, you have a process. So now I'm wowed that you called me, and then I'm wowed that you actually have a process. Now I'll be ultra wowed if you follow through with it.
Right, yeah,
I'll be like, oh, this Mike guy's just like every other Mike guy, and he says he's gonna do something, he doesn't do something, and then it does what I call career suicide.
right, yeah.
If you promise something,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you
So,
gotta make sure you have your stuff together. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you for being brave to do that. Do you guys see, this is where I don't do coaching like I don't do outside coaching, but within Benchmark, our company, we do Friday performance sales training. And this is the kind of stuff that we do because in our mind, we're like, yeah, I make the phone call so I can check it off the list. But the person assisting you or mentoring you or whoever needs to actually hear you to see what little dials we can make and maybe what you're communicating to plant seeds or to come across more positive or to come across like you do have a process. Maybe you're just not good at articulating it because we do it every day. That we're like, oh, I mean, I didn't think I would have to articulate it, you know? Anybody else have any feedback? Can Denise role play with a new agent with a cold call brand new agent? We'll talk about that. Let me read some of these. Have you found any additional tidbits for selling when the agent is not in your home state? Think it would have been nice if you knew about another listing that agent has. I could comment on that. That's great. Hey, do you have any other listings? I don't know if you guys are seeing this in your market. I'm in DFW. We are licensed in several states and I do loans in several states. So I have somewhat of a pulse on other states. We're seeing right now listings sitting for longer. So I really like the suggestion that I think was from Brittany. That's like, hey, do you have any other listings on the market that are maybe sitting? Do you guys like that? You're kind of asking, especially if it's a listing agent. You could, depending on your time, pull up the MMI numbers or the like real estate numbers for that agent and try to get even more information out of them. The more you know about them, the better that phone call could be. If you ask them about their listing, I hope you have a process or a flyer that you can send. Like we have a 2-1 buy down. I don't call it a 2-1 buy down. I hope y'all don't call it a 2-1 buy down. But we have a template where it's like exclusive lending opportunity for 123 Main Street, 5.5% interest rate. And it's displaying a 2-1 buy down. But if you looked up that agent's information and they told you that they had a house that was sitting, you could be like, would it be helpful if I sent over, we have an exclusive lending opportunity with our agents that we partner with for their listings. It's been helping to attract more buyers because it's lowering the rate and the payment. Would that be helpful if I sent that to you? Those are ways that you can add to that, so. Why don't we call it a 2-1 buy down? Somebody answer that. Why don't we call it a 2-1 buy down? I'm gonna shut my door.
Does anyone remember?
Is it just because there's like confusion, like people don't know what a 2-1 buy down means?
Part of it. Does a client like to buy anything down?
They like to buy when it's down.
It's just typically, if you look at like emotional triggers with the human brain of a buy down, it's confusing. Permanent buy downs, temporary buy downs. So I like to call it, we have a payment reduction program. Plus my competitors call it a buy down. So I want to sound different. So, hey, we have a great payment reduction program. What it does is for the first couple of years, it keeps your rate and your payment low. And then from year 3 through 30, it adjusts to a normal standard everyday fixed rate. By that point, we're hoping that rates will have come down, and we utilize AI technology even after your loan closing. It's going to monitor the interest rates for you, so we know exactly when it makes sense to redo your mortgage, because we don't want to do it when rates are on the descent, right? We want to do it when we feel like rates have hit rock bottom. And so we utilize AI technology for that. And at that point, hopefully by year 3, we can offer our rate redo program, or we can redo your rate and your payment. Did I call it a refinance? I hate the word refinance. People associate refinance with expensive. Sometimes they associate it with how they grew up with their parents, and that their parents had to refinance a home because they ran out of money. So it's a form of assistance, and people don't like to ask for assistance. It's also why I don't call the program down payment assistance. There are a lot of generations and personality types that would never ask for a down payment assistance loan out of principle. But if we called it a down payment leverage program, where we can leverage the down payment from certain entities, companies, we can get you into a home with very little out of pocket. Your conversion rate of getting people to want to opt in for that is going to be a lot greater than someone having to admit that they need assistance to get into a home.
It looks like Rick has his hand raised. Rick, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, I got on late, so I apologize. So are we just kind of asking you random questions on what we're looking for, or?
Yes, live Q&A today.
Okay, here's my live Q&A. 2 things. First thing is my daughter's moving down there to Fort Worth. So you need to treat her well. She's a district manager for Swig. So I don't know if you've been by the Swigs down there. They're brand new. So
I haven't, no, but I live close to there.
good. All right, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So the question is, I've been doing a lot of NAR meetings with my realtors. Have you been doing those? And if you have, anything you can share that your insight? I've got, it's been kind of amazing with the meetings that I've been able to have, but I'm just curious what your feedback is. I'm in Utah, and we've always had a buyer broker agreement, always have, but it's obviously the changes that are going on. And so it's been kind of eye-opening, but yeah, well, the other thing is any collateral, anything that you could share with us with that LMP wise, that'd be great. But just
yeah.
curious as to what you've been dealing with.
Well, I just actually got back. We'll spend a couple of minutes on this. I had a big presentation this morning with about 150 realtors. Tonight, I'm driving to Waco. I need Sam's van at this point, but I'm driving to Waco, and I'm presenting to another group of realtors. I have my go-to. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have this in a lender marketing platform, which is a tech tool, because I do this when I'm meeting with a real estate agent group. And I'm going to do a presentation on this. Dave Savage is hosting a Scriptapalooza. I think it's August 19th. It's free. I have 15 minutes to present basically what I've been presenting for the last few months. And so what you'll see is this is a PowerPoint. I made it in Canva, downloaded it in PowerPoint. This is kind of the flow of what I'm talking to them about. What is the number one thing your lending partner can do for you right now? I asked this to the group of realtors this morning. Before I give you the answer, what do you guys think that they said? See if I can read this. Okay. I can't read the chat at the same time of sharing my screen. Deborah, you have to tell me what they say.
Referrals, better communication.
I usually get that when
Is
I'm
there a
one-on.
way?
What'd you say?
I was just gonna say that they're trying to find out if there's a way that they can still get paid once this goes down. Like,
Here's
how
what
can I
they-
get this into a loan?
Those are the normal responses I get from one-on-ones, is like communication and so here's what I always start. I start with this question on purpose. What is the number one thing? And I tell them, before I tell you what I think the answer is, I want you guys to tell me. So I get the audience to tell me. This morning in front of 150 DFW realtors, they said, the number one thing that they can do for me right now is get my client pre-approved and pre-approved quickly. That was the number one thing that they said. And so I'm sharing that with you guys because sometimes we don't ask the most basic questions because we assume the answer. Because I would have assumed all the things that you said too. I was kind of thrown off of my presentation because I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And so I said to them, I gave them a little bit of my story about how I'm a mortgage nerd and how my passion is helping to quantify every decision that a client or seller has to make right now. And so the reality is the number one thing that a lender partner can do for you right now is get your client excited about buying. Because the top two reasons why people aren't buying right now are mortgage rates and inventory. And so how many of you guys have sent a client to a lender and then you got ghosted from the client? And you might have gotten ghosted because the client didn't like what they were pre-approved for. They didn't like the payment. But how many consults have you sat in with your lender to see how they're presenting that information to them? Are they only presenting a 30-year fixed? Are they presenting our payment reduction program that lowers their rate and lowers their payment? Are they coming over with sour pants attitude saying, yeah, the rates are still high. We really thought with this Biden stuff that the rates were gonna come down. And like, what's the vibe of your lender? Raise your hand if you've met with your lender recently and been part of a consult that they have with your client. None of them raised their hand. So then I expose the fact that you guys are all conditioned to say pre-approval, close on time, communicate well. You're just conditioned to say that because that's all you really know. But the truth is, you need your lender to be able to get your clients excited. And I'm going to show you today how we do that. And primarily, it's centered around a very specific presentation that has a sequence of events that psychologically walks the client down why they need to buy. And it's not manipulating because it's the truth. If it's a first-time home buyer, I'm doing renting versus owning. If it's a level up, so I'll show you like some of these slides. If it's, I showed them this. When I meet with sellers, I showed the realtors like this is truthfully what a household's debt looks like. Now we see this stuff all the time, but they were shocked that this household had all this debt. This first-time home buyer who just had a baby had all this debt. This 33-year-old first-time home buyer had all this debt. So they get really bragging or boasting about their 2.875% rate that they have in their mortgage, but no one's talking to them about their household debt rate because they have all this debt with this credit cards. And so as your lending partner, I want you to introduce to your clients to me as your financial partner and lender. Because I'm more than just a lender, and I can tell you guys, I'm excited more than ever about this market, because for the last decade, outside of these last few years, y'all didn't need a financial partner. No one gave a crap about strategy and finance when rates were at 2.875. Now, every single one of y'all should care about financial strategy, because the market demands it. And if you're not working with a lender that knows financial strategy, you're going to lose clients. We're not adding as much value to them that we could be. And so I walked them through this presentation. It's long. That's not the specific question you asked me. But in this presentation, the biggest thing that I'm hitting on with the NAR stuff is my number one goal is to get your clients excited, but then to help them get the offer won. And the very last thing that I want is the client to lose momentum when it's at night or on the weekend, and they're excited that they found the home. You call and you find out that that seller's not paying all or any of the buyer compensation. I don't want you, realtor, waiting to talk to the lender until Monday. I don't want you preparing options for our client, because Lord knows y'all screw it up. I want you to send a text message to my NERD chat line. Yes, it's a team text message, so it goes to everybody on my team. And I want to run an offer smart sheet for you. What is an offer smart sheet? It's kind of like a seller net sheet. You have to run a seller net sheet for sellers. I run an offer sheet for every buyer. What I want to do is quantify for them what the numbers look like on that specific property, because the laws have changed a little bit. So the closing costs that used to be wrapped up in the home price may or may not be. And so we have to assess that with every home purchase. It's really fun, clients, right? And they're like, what? What I don't say is the buyer's agent's compensation used to be paid for and it's not paid for. That's an ugly way to deliver that message. And so I asked the agent, what if your lender is delivering the message that way? Or your lender said, there are certain fees that the buyer pays for and the seller pays for, and sometimes it's rolled into the home price, but it's really a crapshoot until we identify the property. And so what's going to happen is that when you're ready to make an offer, your agent's going to get me involved and we're going to write up an offer sheet. This is an example of what an offer sheet looks like. The sales price was listed at $400,000. They weren't paying any buyer's comp. So we could roll in the 412, which was the buyer's comp, or we could pay, I'm sorry, it was 16. Wait. I can't remember how much it was. So you could pay it out of pocket, which would mean your out of pocket's 40 grand, or we can roll it into the sales price. It would increase your payment $100 a month, but it would keep your funds to close down. And then, oh, by the way, here's your forecasted appreciation of this home if rates don't move. And when I'm presenting this to a group of agents, I say, here's every single client will need an offer sheet. You can text the NERD text line whenever you want. Some of you guys don't know how to grow and scale your business to not be ball and chain to your business. That's something we can talk about at another time. You can scale your business and still grow and not be a slave to your business. But I share with the agent, the reason why I specifically on every single offer sheet will show the potential appreciation is because by nature, a human feels like they got a good deal on a home if they got it for under list price. That's just like how human behavior works. If you go buy a car and you see the sticker price of a car, we're all wanting to buy that car for under or below the sticker price. Below. So now we're in this new market, and if we're trying to roll the price in, I realize not every time we're going to be able to, but in this instance, they thought it would appraise. And so if we're going to suggest going above list price, that knee-jerk response, like from a client, is going to be like, that's a horrible idea. Why would I go over list price? We have to be empathetic to that emotion. That's real. So I'm not selling them on doing that. All we're doing as the educator is quantifying it in a clear and concise way that says, here's option one for this house at 505 NERD Boulevard. Option one is you offer this, you bring this, because guess what? This is your dream home and the seller won't pay it. You don't have to make an offer on the home. But if you want to make an offer on the home at the list price, this is your option to do it. Or option two is we go to 412, here's this, here's this. Well, Denise, I like this, but I don't love the 412. You know, Rick, I thought you might say that. So what I did is I ran the forecasted appreciation, and do you think you're gonna be in this home for at least 5 years? Yeah. Okay, so here's the good news is that you're probably gonna be in this home for longer than 5 years, and this doesn't even take into account rates coming down, but it's projected to increase $41,000 in 5 years. So you're still coming out ahead, and it's a good financial decision. If I try to just word vomit that to somebody, it ain't gonna work. They have to see it. I don't want a real estate agent doing this. So there's a psychological reason why I'm presenting it both, but I'm sending the message out that you and your lender have to be in sync more than ever to not lose momentum, which kind of sucks for us because if you don't have a team, it does mean text messages at night and on weekends till we figure some of this crap out. You know what I mean? But they're going to need us more than ever. They're going to need us. And so position yourself to be able to do this. I do this in Excel because it's quick. I do use Mortgage Coach and I use it when someone goes under contract, but I use this from a visual standpoint in Excel, and I just take a snippet of it and I screenshot and I text it to them and I call them. I say, hey, here's your offer smart sheet. Here's what we're looking at. Here's option 1. Here's option 2. Here's option 3 with what the rate redo would look like in the future. What option do you like the most so I can instruct your agent on how to write the offer? Well, we talked about it. We thought we'd go option 2. Great. Agent, I spoke to the clients. They want option 2. We're going to roll it in. You said it was going to appraise. Are you sure it's going to appraise? Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. If it doesn't appraise, have you had that conversation with them? You know what I mean? Like, but I'm trying to be proactive, and what can we do to set the dominoes up to not lose momentum? We got to get clients excited and we got to get their offer accepted. That's the best 2 things that we can do. Proactive communication is a given. Close on time is a given. Upfront underwriting now, like some of you guys are still using upfront underwriting as a value proposition, but everybody does upfront underwriting now. It's not as sexy as it once was. So these are the 3 things that I commit to for every single buyer. And then when I do my purchase consults with the client, when they get pre-approved, I'm instructing them. Okay, great. You got your numbers, you got your budget, you're ready to go out and shop for a home. The next step is, it's a coined phrase. The next step is to contact your real estate agent and let them know that we've connected and you've had our consult and you're ready to start seeing some homes. So now I'm teaching them to call the agent. And so when they had the consult with another lender, the agent never heard from the client. But now when they send them to me, they hear from the client almost every time, which creates this, they must be excited to go out and buy. You see what, like there's all these little micro events that take place. Like it's, I wish it wasn't this complex. But I love that it's this complex because the people who are still in the business today, loan officers and mortgage or real estate people, it's the best of the best. We're all competing against the best of the best. And I want to win against the best. I'll kick all y'all's asses. No, I'm kidding. But I do want to compete against the best. So if you're still here, like acknowledge that, give yourself some pat on the back. Like there's a lot of us that aren't still here. There's a lot of us that won't be here by the fall. So we are competing against the best. When you're making these outbound calls, you're competing against people making outbound calls that are good. And don't be conditioned to say things that we've all been to conferences and taught to say, because you might sound like everybody else. It's okay to ask them like, what listing agent would make this above and beyond experience for you? I just want you to close on time. That is a conditioned response. And I liked that he dug a little bit deeper by asking what form of communication. I don't know if y'all picked up on that, but I gave him a very generic answer and he dug a little bit deeper to ask, what does that mean? I loved that because it means that you're actually paying attention and you're going to tailor it to me.
So Denise, someone had asked when you're making this call and because of this presentation, you're pretty much forcing them to jump on a Zoom, right?
This was in response to Rick's question of what am I doing with the NAR stuff? This is what I'm presenting. If an agent asks me to come speak to their team or their brokerage or then I come equipped with this.
And people are asking if you would share your presentation.
Yeah, it's, y'all will notice that there's a crap ton of slides. And it's because I use what I want depending on the audience so it's not gonna make a lot of sense because I'm pulling out the pieces that are relevant to the conversation. It's just like a framework for me. I do this a lot with clients too. Like I have a slide on here that says mortgage rates decreased 8 of the last 11 times. And I shared this in my presentation this morning to agents. And I said, I'm not sharing this with clients. I'm sharing this with you guys. I don't necessarily think it's a great thing to like post on social or share. I want you guys to see that there's not meaningful enough change in rates. So don't like go out to the marketplace saying rates are going to go down because it might encourage people to wait. And the cost of waiting is greater than this piddly quarter of a point that we might see. Which is why you're not seeing me post about this on social. But I have it in my deck, call it my card deck, if I need it. So that's what I'm doing with presentations where I'm physically going and meeting with them and discussing specifically the NAR thing. If I'm calling so I'll share this with you guys. Y'all can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We can see your emails.
That's fine.
Okay.
Some of you guys have emailed me. I was out of town for 9 days. And so some of you guys have emailed me and I promise I will get back to you today. I've just been playing catch up. So you'll see here, I think I shared this on the last call, but here's my inbox. I've got my realtor power hours. Here's how I set up my Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday. This is how I have systematized my 60 minutes a day of power hour calls. I know somebody asked, what do you do when you make a cold call? I'll explain to you why I don't ever make cold calls. I make a ton of outbound calls, but they're never cold. So Mondays, I have to numerically list them because otherwise it'll put it in alphabetical order. But anytime there's an offer made on a property, I've taught the agent to copy me on the offer. I track the offers, but anytime I get an offer, sometimes people make offers on a Thursday. Most of the time it's over the weekend, but I call the agent and then I drag the offer to this folder because this is what I do on Mondays is I call these listing agents. Hey, I hadn't seen the contract come through. I just wanted to connect with you. What did your seller think of our offer? This is how I organize myself. So on Mondays,
If someone sends an offer on Tuesday, you're waiting almost a week.
Yep. Hey, I got your offer on Tuesday. Now I'm calling them immediately. I'm calling them within 24 hours to say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you got the offer. I've got a pre-recorded video on my phone too, where if I can't call them, I can shoot a text message and it looks like it's a video that I automatically did. I try not to resort to the video message because I do actually want to physically talk to them. We can build a deeper connection if we talk. So I drag it. It doesn't matter if the offer got accepted on a Wednesday. I make those calls on Mondays because I run my business like a business and I'm very systematized with my time and my day. Hey, I got the contract on Thursday. I know you saw the emails go out because my CRM sends emails. Hey, we got the contract. Confetti's on there and our CRM is very personalized and humanized and fun, quite frankly. It's because I know you guys are gonna ask what CRM, it's Be in Touch, but I wrote every single email and every single campaign and every single text message. So it's not something, unless you join Benchmark, it's not something you can get through Be in Touch. So I drag it there. My status updates, if there's any kind of like appraisal received or anything like that, I drag it in this folder and that's what I do on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, these are my realtor drips. So my CRM will every 2 weeks on a new agent or a listing agent, like this is a listing agent. It's been 6 weeks. Do you want to reach back out to this agent? Here's the client. Here's where it's funded. Is it for sale by owner? Here's this agent, their phone number, you know, all things. And then I click on it and I can see what their buying numbers were, listing numbers were. Maybe I want to call, maybe I want to text. So this is just my reminder. I get these reminders all throughout the week. I drag it to this folder and I make calls. I am behind because I was out of town for 9 days, but I will make my calls. Thursdays are my home bot, or, so this is my rebuttal to people who are new. Deborah came up with the Redfin strategy. So I've got some loan officers on my team who are newer and they're like, that's great and all, but I don't have like 30 offers a month. So how am I supposed to fill out my power hour? I get it. When I started out, I did open house crashing every weekend. It's not sexy, but I was consistent because nobody wanted to talk to me because they didn't know who I was. And I looked like a dumb blonde that was 26 years old. So I cornered them into a house and made people talk to me. I charmed my way with them. I got their business card. I sent them a weekly value email and I tried to connect with them through multiple workshops, title events, things like that. So if you're new, you're in the grind phase. You don't have a reputation. You have to do the unsexy, dirty work. If someone lied to you and thought that this was like not a business generating or lead generating business, it 100% is. You're wearing 15 hats in your first 3 years. But then we can teach you how to grow and scale. But you got to do the ugly work first. I did it too. No one sees that today. But ask Deborah, every weekend, I was so crazy. I bought the domain name openhousecrashing.com. I have a domain buying problem, but that's a different, a different addiction. I just bought Nerd Lab, Nerd Fuel. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. I bought, what was that? Madison Davidson, the divorce thing.
No, that wasn't a divorce thing. That was an affair thing. For the love of God, you did not buy.
I bought something like lending, like people who caught their spouse cheating. Like if you're going to divorce them, I'll be your Ashley Madison lender. I know, crazy. It was probably 2 a.m. Anyways, if you don't have people, if you don't have HomeBot or anything like that, there's a Redfin strategy that Deborah can talk about where, okay, I don't have any agents to call, go to Redfin, pull up the city. Deborah's got a video on this. See who has had a price reduction in the last 7 to 10 days in your area. Maybe they've reduced the home price X amount. You could offer them the payment reduction program and show them that your 2-1 buy down strategy versus lowering the sales price. And you get all those names and you list them, and that's going to be your Thursday phone calls. And then you follow up with them on, now they move into bucket 3 because it's like, hey, how did your open house go? Did you get any more traffic? What are the sellers saying? Is anybody going in there? And they start to become part of your follow-up into whatever bucket you're moving them into. And then on Fridays, I'm always sharing a wealth story. So if I have a closing or a pre-qual, if I showed somebody like you could continue to rent for 5 years or you could own, if I help them get their FICO score up, if I help them pick a better interest rate, I try to share once a week on my social and in my value bomb emails to clients and partners, a wealth story. And a wealth story means something that a realtor cannot Google or ChatGPT. Like if you're sending weekly emails out to realtors and you're sending them like rate updates, that's not a value bomb email. They can go get that anywhere. A value bomb email in my group is teaching them something from a human brain that can make their business better or that can show them how we're different. Like, I have a loan officer on my team who she was doing, the client had some side business income. The easy thing to do would be to ignore the income because we didn't really need it and just put pay stubs and W-2s in. But if we included it and made their DTI a little bit better, which made their mortgage insurance rate better. And when affordability is a hot topic, it's not like it was a ton of money on their monthly mortgage insurance. But do you think that your real estate agents like to know that you put in a little bit more grit and you found something that a bot couldn't find if they just pulled the work number because they don't look at this kind of stuff? Like, do you think they want to know that? Of course they do. But how are you delivering it? How are you showcasing it? So this is how I've systematized staying consistent and disciplined on 60 minutes a day. And if you commit to 60 minutes a day of making just realtor calls, I'm not talking about client calls. If y'all aren't even making partner calls, we're not even going to go to the next step of client calls. I realize there's a lot of business that could be done there, but we got to be real and we got to start with like, let's first eat the salad for lunch and not have the Oreos. Okay. We're baby stepping this. Now we gotta find a way to systematize it. If you don't have a CRM that's doing these kinds of things, or if you're just like, if I tried to do all this, it would take me too long. We're entering the season. This is not a sales pitch. Y'all know I don't sell, but we are entering a season where if you're not getting the support that you need from your company or from your management team or whatever, we're going into the fall. We need to be looking at ourselves like a free agent. And like, who are you going to win with? What tools and systems do you have? Are you gonna do all this on your own? Which you totally can. I did it on my own. Or do you wanna plug and play into somebody else's? No pun intended, Deborah.
Will you stop
Um,
sharing your screen, Denise, so we can stop staring at your inbox while you're, there we go. Thanks.
Did I see my face? Could you see my face earlier?
Now we can.
Good, because I was picking my nose and none of y'all could see it. No, just kidding.
Whatever.
Anyways, so my point is these are ways to systematize the daily activity. And normally, like what we started at this conversation was when you start going through the motions of doing this, you will uncover holes in your process, roadblocks. Oh shits. This is harder than I thought. And it is hard. And when people join us and they start doing this, they're like, I can't make 10 calls in a week. And usually it's because you're not prepared. And so I always ask the loan officer, like, how much accountability do you want me to give? I can give you all the accountability, or if you don't want that kind of accountability, then that's fine too. But because the results are on you, I'm gonna give you the recipe, but you still got to do the work. So we've gotten to the point now this year where most of my loan officers, they're like, no, I want the accountability because it forces them to give me the list of the names every Sunday before our Monday huddle call. They'll send me a list now. Sometimes it's on a napkin, but they have the realtor's name and phone number of who they're going to call next week. Because what they found is the more prepared they were with the who, they could actually optimize the hour that they were going to do for that day. And sometimes they would do 2 hours on a Tuesday because Monday, was a crazy day. But they had the names listed because they knew that they needed 15 calls. So they had 15 names. And by the way, if you have 15 names and you dial 15, do you think you're going to connect with all 15? No. These are all things that you start to learn where you're like, shit. So I'll be real with y'all. This is my team's results. Oh, I don't have it up anymore. Oh wait, yeah, I do. Okay. So one of my loan officers has a goal of 14 weekly partner calls. The first week of July, he did 12. Second week, he did 11. Third week, he did 13. He's just shy of the 14, but until we started tracking it to one of y'all's points, he thought he was doing like 20 to 30 calls. If you were to ask him emotionally, he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm on the phone all day long. And then we start tracking it and he's like, damn, I'm not. Now he's close. I have another one that is a 21 a week goal. She did 10, 16, 6. So I'm like, how do you expect to get to your funding goal if you're not having enough partner conversations? Either we need to lower your goal of fundings and make less money, or we need to dissect how you're optimizing your day and your hours and to make sure that you can get to this, because this is the most important. So it's all these little tweakings that we have to analyze. Anything else? What AI do you use? Oh, holy smokes. Love open house crashing. If we join Benchmark, would we have access to, yeah, you get my CRM when you join Benchmark. You can literally just plug and play and copy it. Is there access to the calendar Denise was referring to? We might need to have another call or a discovery call. Is Denise paying for HomeBot? Yes. And Redfin leads? No, I don't pay for any leads. Also, Be in Touch, MBS. The branch pays for the CRM. So if you're a loan officer and you join Benchmark, the branch pays for the CRM, MBS, and Mortgage Coach and HomeBot, actually. Can you share that presentation? Yes. Is there a place that we can buy that Excel with the formula built-ins? Is there a place? Oh, we can do that. You pretty much force them to jump on a Zoom, right? Let's talk a little bit about the phone calls. So I feel like when we do conference calls or Zooms, everyone always goes to the easiest form of a realtor outbound call, which is the just funded or an offer. But what does that conversation look like if it's a Redfin client or like a more lukewarm? It's not cold, but it's lukewarm. You know? And so does anybody have any lukewarm attempts that they try to do when they call? Because what I hear from our performance skills trainings calls every Friday is most of the phone calls sound like this. Hey, Deborah, this is Denise. I'm a local lender at Benchmark Mortgage. I have this really great program. It's shiny ball object. I would love to take 10-15 minutes to talk to you about it. It's like how every call goes. I have this program. I have this marketing thing. I have this podcast. I have this.
I'm really busy. Can you just email it over?
Yeah, that's what you're gonna get. Because they've seen that dog and pony show for years. You can't lead with that. So you have to lead with something like nerd group read. He's one that I have to call. Your wife didn't have the baby, right? Not yet. Okay, God, thank God. We were supposed to chat when I was out of town and I thought his wife was going into labor. I was like, oh my gosh, go have a baby. Your wife's having a baby. What is the website to see what benchmark entails and the costs associated with it? I do a discovery call for loan officers. If you're interested in joining Benchmark, I do it once a month. Let's see it. Let me see what date it is on this one. We'll send it out. We'll post it on the Facebook group because we're already past time, but it's just like if you want to learn more what Benchmark is, because I don't like to like recruit or sell people. But you can learn and you can ask me a jillion questions. I do example pricing. So if you're like, price this loan, I show you guys everything. So when you make that call, I always try to, and Deborah, you might be good with this with the exactly what to say, the OFQ part of it, but I'm a straight shooter. Now that's my personality type. I'm a high D kind of straight shooter, transparent, but I'd be like, hey, Deborah, this is Denise, the mortgage nerd. I saw that you have a listing at 123 Main Street. Do you still have that house?
Yep.
Okay, because I pre-approve a lot of buyers and I saw that it was 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Tell me a little bit about it. What's the movement like, traffic like, sellers like?
It's been sitting. Our sellers are getting a little anxious. They thought it was going to sell a lot quicker than what it has. It's a great home, but you know, inventory is growing in our area and these
Okay, time
rates.
out. If you lead with that bait, I explain. If you lead with bait like that, even a ID personality type like me, you'll get them talking about the house. And that's all I want. And then I'm gonna probe a little bit more. But is there something, you know, I don't really know where that house is located. Is there something specific about that area that might be a turnoff to buyers or, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're in a 15-minute conversation and they're just feeling comfortable enough to talk to you about the home. Now I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna pull this house up. I'm gonna look at it. I do pre-approved buyers for a living. So if I have any buyers that come through that are looking specifically for this home, I'll definitely keep you in mind. I'm gonna take a look at the home, see if I can look at it from a marketing standpoint. Would it be okay if I sent you a lending exclusive opportunity, which just allows buyers to get a more attractive interest rate and monthly payment if they were to buy that home? It might bring some appeal to the house. You can put it in the private remarks, but you know what? I'll just send it to you. I normally only offer it for clients I work with, but is your email address the dbyrd@twinbiz.com?
TwinPeaks.com.
Twin Peaks, cool. Twin
Yep.
Peaks, right. Well, then I'm gonna send that to you over the next 5 minutes. I'll probably just text you and let you know that it's sent over there. Let me know what you think. I'm just starting to court them. I'm not trying to get them to a date yet. I'm just courting them and I'm give before I right hook and ask them for something. And then I'm gonna put them on my sheet to call them, or I'm gonna email myself and say, hey, they're having an open house. That's gonna be a Tuesday call. Hey, Mike, I know we spoke last week. I seen that flyer. How's the activity on the open house? Did you get any movement? If I look their numbers up on MMI and they're a heavy hitter, I might show up to the open house. Because if I don't hit my partner goals for the week, then I do open house crashing. Because if you don't like to make the calls and I've got 2 people in Colorado that prefer to be in person, and so they do a lot of open house crashing. That's the great thing about this business is there's a lot of recipes. There's a lot of different ways that you can get business. You have to find the one that resonates the most to you so that you can be the most consistent with it. But it's still going to be boring and it's not going to be sexy. But if outbound calls, even lukewarm calls, are not your vibe at first to court, then get in front of them by co-hosting a title workshop, open house crashing. Like, you're gonna have to do something to get them to swipe right and to then have that second call. It usually takes 7 attempts. So that's why you got to do it every day. And then in 3 months, you might not see the results of it, which is what's even harder. It's like going to the gym every day and eating a freaking salad and being like, the scale is not going down. This sucks. Denise is a liar. It doesn't work. It takes a while. But if you stay consistent at it, all you can control is the input. Your competitive edge is the input you do every single day. That's it. And then we'll work on growing and scaling, and then when you can grow and scale, it does get easier. But until you can grow and scale, suck it up. You're in the grit. It's not glamorous. It's not fun. It can get to that point if you're willing to do the work.
Hey, Denise.
Yes.
So with that, when you're asking about like the property, et cetera, let's say they don't do an open house, like what would that follow-up be? Like, would you flat out ask, like, have you used the strategy? What's the feedback you've gotten? Like, if you could help with that.
Yeah, so and this is a good thing for you guys to identify with what is in your wheelhouse of value propositions. I'm obviously more of a marketing brain, so it comes natural for me. So my passive drip is more marketing-ish because that's how I'm wired. So I'll go sometimes to their listing and I'll screenshot like 5 or 6 pictures and I throw it in CapCut. Deborah also has a video on this. I'll throw it in CapCut to create almost like a hype reel for their listing. And I'll just text it to them and say, hey, I was playing around with this new app. I made you a hype video reel. I thought you might like it. And they might not even give 2 craps about it, but it's more than what the other lender is doing. I'm not asking them for anything. I'm just 2 weeks, I drop it on them. Hey, I thought of you. I was playing around with this app, thought you might like to post this on social or send it out to your network. Here you go. And they're like, okay, cool. And then I get a 2-week reminder and I call them in another 2 weeks. And maybe it's a video text message. Hey, I'm hosting a realtor workshop August 8th. It's about how we are helping clients get their offer accepted, not lose momentum. I'd love for you to join. And then they come on to the, you know what I mean? Like your funnel's like this. I'm just trying to get them to the top of the funnel to slowly massage them down. And maybe they don't give a crap about the marketing reel, but then this flavor is, I'm inviting you to this webinar. And then guess what? After the webinar, I have a QR code that's like, want to learn more of what it's like working with the nerds and the nerd process? I already have a date and time of the next webinar where let's have a discovery day. So I do it for loan officers and realtors. Realtors, let's have a discovery day of what it's like working with myself and the nerds. You can meet the underwriters, meet everybody, and we'll show you the nerd process because we operate a lot like Chick-fil-A. It's a process. Some like it, some don't. If you don't, I don't care. If you do, cool. But let's have a discovery day so you can learn more. We do the same thing with loan officers. Here's our discovery day. I'll show you behind the curtain, all of the margins, the numbers, the rates, the CRM, and you let them decide. And if they choose you, great, and if they don't, but you have to follow up. I don't follow up with loan officers. I just say that because I don't like people spamming me and getting text messages, so I'm always like, if you're interested, come to this, and I'm not gonna spam you. It's not that I'm not interested, I just like, if you see the value in it, great. If not, it's totally fine too. Like, look, real estate agents, I do every 2 weeks. I do it for every 2 weeks. The CRM goes for 14 weeks. And then they're in every week, they get a value bomb email. And they're always gonna get value bomb emails, and they're always gonna get invites. Because at some point in time, they're gonna get fed up with their lender. And they're gonna see enough value bombs, or they're gonna be invited to enough Zoom things, but I don't spend money. It's just. So you don't have to spend money, you just have to be consistent. Did we start at 12? Are we 12 minutes over right now? Holy smokes, I'm sorry, keep rambling. Are we done? Should you want me to answer this last question? How are a couple of title education topics have been great for realtor get-togethers? Call this media hacking. So whatever's like super hyper focused on media channels is a great title for workshops with realtors. If you're newer to the business and you don't have a bunch of realtors to invite, partnering with a title company is key because they have a database of realtors. But right now, the easiest thing is this NAR workshop. And this is exactly what we are doing to get the offer accepted and not lose momentum with these changes. That's it. That's a wrap. Okay. All right. So we will get this recorded. Deborah, you're on Zoom, or you're on Zoom. You're on Zoom. You're on mute. We will get this uploaded to the Facebook group. We will add anything that you guys want on there. Make sure you take a picture of this. I think last time I looked ridiculous. Take a picture, post it. It just gives us some nerd and bird. Okay. By the way, you look like Kelly Kapowski. Do you know who Kelly Kapowski is?
Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
I still have
like,
my 90s jeans too.
Why are you wearing that? What is that? Okay, nobody.
Hey, Ricardo
Anyways.
said he likes it.
Oh. I'll have to post my shoes I wore today. I had
Well,
Nike.
Caroline taking a photo, so I had to, maximize the opportunity.
Okay,
Big
y'all
Deb
have to
energy.
put-
Thanks, Kelly.
And then you have to look at my post that I do later today. Deborah, you know my Nike high heels, like they're sneakers, but they're high heels.
Yeah, I thought those were.
I know. My husband is a sneakerhead. He's from New Jersey, so he buys like this ridiculous Nike shoes. He hates those shoes because they're not real Nikes. I'm pretty sure they were made in China somewhere, but they look really cool because it looks like a sneaker with laces, but there's a heel. I wore that for my presentation today.
No, you did not.
I did. I had it
I'm
on with this
embarrassed.
and this Nike and then my Nike shoes. I felt like Marvel. I felt like, what's that Marvel chick? Not Wonder Woman. Was it Wonder Woman? Yeah, Wonder Woman. Anyways, y'all will see the pictures. These are the cool. So I told Jason.
It's not like there's a lot of superheroes for women. So the fact that you were like questioning.
Hang on.
Are
So
you
I took, I sent the video to Jason because he's still out of town. And I was like, guess what? Because he's wanted me to throw these away for a solid 15 years. He hates that I even still have them. And I was
Are
like,
you
I
gonna show
wore these.
people or are you just gonna talk about them? You gotta show.
I have them in my car because I took them off. They hurt. And so I was like, I've already gotten 2 compliments on my shoes. He was like, well, I guess other people have a poor choice in shoes as well.
Probably sympathy. They're like, she
did.
tried, she thinks.
Dude, they're so cool. So I'm gonna post them and y'all have to tell me like yes or no if you like them.
Don't
They're
lie,
freaking
guys.
cool.
Be honest.
They're freaking cool. Okay, Kelly Kapowski, it was really nice chatting with you today. Go save your bell. Bye.
Bye.